Hi, I'm Jimmy James. You're on DJ Central, and we're at the front of Sydney's iconic Goldfish nightclub for the launch of their new CD, Looking Back, Moving Forwards. Come on, let's go inside. James, you're watching DJ Central, and we're down at Sydney's iconic Goldfish in the heart of Sydney's King's Cross, and we're sitting with one of the world's most seminal house DJs, JJ. Welcome.
Thank you.
Tell us about what's going on here tonight. There's something special.
Well, this is the CD release party for a compilation CD that the club had me put together. Looking back, moving forward. It's it's a 2-disc set, and it encompasses a lot of the music that's been going on here at the club for the last 5-6 years. And so this is the launch weekend of the CD.
So CD 1, Looking Back. Yep. CD 2, Moving Forwards. Is that right?
Well, it's both of them are sort of looking back and moving forward in a sense. But the interesting thing about the CD was that it was the track listing, so the songs were sort of created from all of the different DJs and producers who have played the venue. So it was, that's where I had to pull the songs from. So we started off with a list of all the guys that have been here and that, have played the venue. And then from that, I pulled songs from their catalogs and then created this, this CD. So
look, you're not only an artist, but you're also a producer as well. Tell us about your process. Tell us about the collaboration that's sort of taken place and how you've, I guess, curated these pieces of music for this record.
So in this particular case, it was, I started with a list of people and I started to go through their catalog, and then I had to figure out how to make those all fit together. Most of the CDs I've done, it's been a little bit more freeform, where I was brought in to basically just pick the songs that I wanted, and so it's always like a little bit easier to figure out like the flow and all that when I'm pulling from all of my current favorites. So this was a really interesting process because it was, I had sort of a guideline to go from, and then from that had to create something that would, if you put in a CD, you want it to sort of flow and to have a vibe to it and a beginning and an end and all that. And so it was, it took a little more work than maybe some of the others, but it was also kind of interesting about like, here's this sort of puzzle that hasn't really been created, but I was given a certain number of pieces in a sense, and I had to sort of make it fit, so it was fun.
Tell us about some of the artists that you've sort of pulled together on this record.
So, oh God, on the spot.
Boom, boom, boom.
So, there's like guys that have played here. So, for instance, even like tonight we have some of the locals. So, Random Soul are playing tonight, and Jeremy Joshua's played tonight. I think you guys have talked to them already.
Yeah, they're great guys. Really love them.
And then on the CD, we've got stuff from guys like Todd Terry, Derek May, Sonny Fodera, who's from Australia, also has played the venue. God, there's so many. So it's
Look, Goldfish is a pretty special place. It's really sort of, I guess, taking this pinnacle for house music here in Sydney. Tell us about the scene that's taking place here and your part in it.
Well, it's a really well-respected venue, and the talent that has been brought in here on an international scale is pretty vast. So again, like creating the track listing for the CD itself was like, there was a lot to choose from, and a lot of a lot of high caliber international artists that have been making music and touring the world for years have been here, and so it's really great to work on this project with the venue that has been really committed musically. There's some venues that are just more committed to the trend, and so that can change, night to night. The music can vary, whereas here it's very consistent with a high caliber of house music, and so their commitment was, I took this project pretty seriously because of that. So it was, it's a great venue, and they've really had a lot of great people too.
Hopefully this isn't too ambiguous a question, but what is house music today? What is the house music scene here in Sydney?
The house music today all over the world is like, it's just continually growing. It's certainly the biggest it's ever been. When you look at things like these festivals that go on, and the Australian market is one of the most saturated for festivals, but yet their ticket sales still increase every year. The fan base is growing. We're getting 60,000 people together in one city to listen to music. I mean, it's pretty impressive,
it's pretty special.
So it's done nothing but increase in terms of people's mentality and enjoyment.
I think you touched on something really special there, and that idea of, you say bringing 60,000 people together. What does it feel like to be at the epicenter of that crush, that energy that takes place at these festivals or nights like tonight in nightclubs here?
Yeah, I mean, it's an incredible feeling when you have especially for like most of the guys that do this. It's like we got started into doing this because this is what we love to do, and we started making music and DJing, and DJing at the end of the day is I'm basically choosing my favorite music and sharing it with the crowd. And so when you do that and you see this group of people, whether it's 20-person dance floor like back when I started to thousands and thousands of people in a field somewhere with massive sound systems that are basically enjoying, it's like this interesting camaraderie that occurs. It's less of a like, oh, look at me, I'm the star, but for me it's like we are sharing this moment of my favorite music that you're enjoying too, and so there's like this interesting connection that I always have felt by.
Could we almost call it a conversation's taking place? Yeah.
Yeah, and it's interesting because a lot of times I will think about the lyrics in some songs and put things together in a way that's like, I don't know. For me, maybe it makes sense at the moment, and if people are vibing with that, it's
Look, talking about lyrics, like you've collaborated with some of to me some great soul divas of our time, like Latrice, Jill Scott. Tell us about the way their vibe, that special X factor, that's something that they have as singers influences your sound and what you create.
Yeah, I mean, it's working with people that are talented on that level. It's an incredible sort of collaborative thing that happens, and in many cases, for me, I always enter into those situations with a bit of intimidation because there's this like, am I going to be able to support their their creative genius in a way that is we're both gonna be happy or whatever, but yeah, I mean, working with people that are interesting writers and that can create this imagery with their words and how they put it together is something that I've always loved as a music listener and an enjoyment of music, and then being able to like create with people that have that same mentality is like, it's great.
It's something I talked about with Jeremy Joshua earlier tonight, and we were talking about this really great, Bobby McFerrin track that he did. Thinking about your body, thinking about your face. There's this real sense of positivity here. You, as a producer, have the choice or the ability to pick these samples, this music,
right,
and essentially put out a voice. How important is that voice or that distinction, that message that you put out, with these samples, with these collaborations?
I think. I've definitely taken that part of it pretty seriously too. I mean, I think I have a fairly optimistic, positive outlook on life and humanity, and I think that I've put a lot of that into my music, and it's like my catchphrase when I'm sitting, let's say it's a new singer and we're gonna start writing together, and I say it's, what I'm looking for is ambiguous love songs. So it doesn't necessarily have to be direct, it doesn't have to be man to man, woman to woman, woman to man, whatever, but it can be something that like, when people listen to, they can sort of create their own meaning behind, the imagery that we're presenting them. So I like ambiguous love songs. Someone can it can be about a person, it can be about a job, their life, or whatever, who knows what it can be about for that individual, but I like that way of approaching.
Well, look, whoever the poet is, whether it's Keats, whether it's Dylan, whatever it is, when you listen to their words, you're not thinking about Dylan or Keats. You're thinking about their girl.
Like you're thinking about your own life.
That's right.
Yeah. So it's nice when we embark on this journey and we bounce these ideas and we come up with lyrics and songs and then from there it gets released, and then it's sort of like this process that occurs where I'm now in the studio doing something else, and I don't really know its impact. And it's times like this when I'm, touring around and in front of people, and someone will come up to me and inevitably say, "Oh, something that you did years ago, that was my favorite song," or whatever. And it's always interesting to me to get that, sort of feedback and go, "Oh yeah, I remember that." It's like.
What I love about your tracks is there seems to be this sort of strong jazz influence. There's a lot of jazz samples in there. Tell us about your influences in jazz music, and perhaps are you a closet jazz musician yourself?
No.
No.
But I started my music career playing guitar back when I was 14 or something like that. And yeah, I've just gravitated towards that sort of free-form melodic thing that is in a lot of in a lot of jazz sort of records and arrangements. So it's just something that I've been into, and just the soul too of I don't know, just organic instruments, singers, musicians, and that's something that's always been a part of what I've tried to do, and sometimes it comes across without even actually. In today's music, there's a lot of just electronic stuff happening, and I use less musicians today than I did a few years ago, but I still always have this goal of making it be organic and have a feeling to it regardless. And it could be something simple to match sort of the current sort of trend of music today, or it could be something really like melodic and moving and sort of love song or whatever.
You're from San Fran, but you've been spending a lot of time in Sydney. Do you think we might be getting close to claiming you as our own?
Maybe so. We'll see. We'll see. I love it. I mean, for years people I get asked a lot. I'm sure a lot of other touring DJs get asked, "Where's your favorite place to play? What are some of your favorite nights?" And Sydney's come up for many years of one of my favorite places to be and to play. And some of my, I guess, most memorable events that I played have been here, and so it was a special place. And then to have the opportunity to come back and enjoy it and be here for a while, and then to be able to work with a venue like this that I mentioned, their commitment to music. Matches sort of my understanding and history of it all, and it's been really cool. So we'll see.
Anything you'd like to say to the people out there who are watching this tonight?
Well, I think keep enjoying it and support your artists. There's a lot of people that do this for a living, and there's a lot of easy ways to get music for free. But at the end of the day, if you don't support the artists, then they won't continue to do it. So, I explain that to people. That's like, if you like it, then you don't support it, then they might not continue to do it. So there you go.
Another busy night for DJ Central TV at Goldfish. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you next week.